Once upon a time, there was a woman named Ngozi Okafor, and people in Lagos liked to talk about her. Not because she was loud, not because she liked trouble. They talked because she was calm in a way that made people feel small. Even when she smiled, her eyes looked like they were watching something far away. Ngozi was the kind of person who could hear bad news and still speak softly, like her voice had a lock on it. She was married to Chukwudi Okafor, a billionaire everyone knew. He owned tall buildings, big hotels, and a car company that put his face on billboards. When he walked into a room, people stood up fast, like his shoes were made of power. But at home, Ngozi did not treat him like a king. She treated him like a man. That was why some people did not like her. Ngozi was not the type to beg or chase. She did not try to shine brighter than her husband, but she also did not shrink. She cared for her home, handled charity work, and helped with family matters. She also knew how to stay quiet when quiet was needed. That night, she was sitting on the edge of their big bed, brushing her hair slowly. The room was neat. The air conditioner was cold. The lights were soft. She could hear Chukwudi's voice coming from the hallway, low and careful, like he did not want anyone to hear. Ngozi paused. She did not move. Then she heard another voice. A woman's voice. A woman's voice. It was light and sweet, but it had sharpness inside it. Ngozi knew that voice. Lillian, Chukwudi's secretary. Ngozi stood up quietly and walked closer to the door. She did not open it. She just listened. Chukwudi spoke first. Lower your voice. Lillian laughed softly. So you are scared of your wife now? I am not scared, Chukwudi said quickly. Just be smart. Lillian's voice dropped. I am smart. That's why I am tired of hiding. I am tired of being your secret. Ngozi's fingers pressed into her palm, but her face stayed calm. Chukwudi sighed. You know I can't just throw her away. People will talk. Let them talk, Lillian said. I want the name. I want the house. I want to be Mrs. Okafor. There was a short silence. Then Chukwudi said something that made Ngozi's stomach turn cold. It will be clean, he said. No fight. No shouting. No court drama. Lillian sounded excited now. So you have a plan? Yes, Chukwudi answered. An accident. Not too bad. Just enough. Then I wake up confused. Doctors will say memory loss. People will pity me. Lillian gasped like she was pretending to be shocked, but she liked it. And you won't remember her? I will remember business, he said. I will remember my mother. I will remember friends. But my marriage will be gone. And me? Lillian asked, almost smiling in her voice. Chukwudi replied, you will be the face I remember, the one that feels safe. Ngozi felt like the air left her lungs, but she did not make a sound. Lillian said, wow. So she will just watch you marry me? She will have to, Chukwudi said. She will look desperate if she fights. People will think she is forcing herself on a sick man. Lillian giggled. And if she refuses to sign divorce? She will sign, Chukwudi said. She is proud. She hates public shame. She won't want people to see her dragged. Ngozi swallowed hard. Lillian said, when will it happen? Soon, Chukwudi said. I already spoke to someone. We will handle it. Ngozi stepped back from the door slowly. Her heart was beating fast, but her face stayed the same. She walked back to the bed and sat down like nothing happened. When Chukwudi entered the room some minutes later, he wore his normal calm face. He acted like a loving husband. He even smiled. My love, he said, why are you still awake? Ngozi looked up at him and forced her lips to smile. I was waiting for you. Chukwudi came closer and kissed her forehead, gentle and warm, like he did not just plan to destroy her life. Tomorrow will be a long day, he said. Try to sleep. Ngozi nodded. Okay. He lay down beside her. His breathing soon became steady. Ngozi stared at the ceiling. She did not cry. She did not shout. She just kept repeating his words in her head, like she was saving them in a safe place. An accident. Memory loss. Divorce. New wife. She turned her head and looked at him in the dark. Good, she whispered, so softly that even the pillow could not hear. I have heard you. After that night, the days moved like normal, but Ngozi felt like she was walking through a movie where she already knew the ending. Chukwudi started leaving the house more often. He took calls outside. He smiled at his phone sometimes. He did not even hide it well. Ngozi watched him, not like a jealous wife, but like someone watching a thief who thinks nobody is looking. One afternoon, she went to his study to drop some documents. His laptop was open. A message popped up on the screen. She did not touch anything. She did not read too much. But she saw Lillian's name. She saw one line. "Is everything ready?" Ngozi closed the laptop gently and walked out. That evening, Chukwudi came home late. He looked tired, but he was in a good mood. He sat at the dining table and said, "Ngozi, I might travel tomorrow. Just one day." Ngozi served him food calmly. "Where to?" "A quick meeting," he said. "Abuja." Ngozi nodded like it was normal. "Okay." He started eating. "You know I do all this for us, right?" Ngozi looked at him. "Yes." Chukwudi smiled. "I'm happy you understand." Ngozi gave a small smile back. "I understand." The next day, Chukwudi left early. Ngozi watched his car drive out of the gate. Then she went back inside and sat in the quiet living room. For a moment, she allowed herself to breathe deep. Her phone rang. It was Chukwudi's mother, Mama Ada. "Ngozi," Mama Ada said. "How are you, my daughter?" "I'm fine, Mama," Ngozi replied. Mama Ada laughed softly. "You sound tired." Ngozi looked at the wall. "Calm. Just normal life, Mama." Mama Ada said, "Chukwudi told me he is traveling. You know my son, always moving like wind." Ngozi answered gently, "Yes, Mama." After the call, Ngozi stood up and walked to the window again. She didn't know the exact day the accident would happen, but she knew it was coming, and she knew it would happen soon. Then, late at night, her phone rang again. This time, it was not Mama Ada. It was an unknown number. Ngozi answered. "Hello?" A man's voice spoke fast. "Madam, are you Mrs. Okafor?" Ngozi's heart jumped, but her voice stayed steady. "Yes. What is it?" The man swallowed loudly. "There has been an accident. Your husband, sir, his car." Ngozi stood very still. "Where?" "On the express road," the man said. "They are taking him to Street Luke Hospital. Please come quickly." Ngozi's hand shook for 1 second. Then she held the phone tighter. "I'm coming," she said. She ended the call and rushed upstairs. She changed quickly, tied her hair back, and grabbed her bag. As she ran down the stairs, the house felt too big and too quiet, like it was holding its breath. The driver, Uche, was already outside, confused and scared. "Madam, what happened?" he asked. Ngozi entered the car. "Drive to Street Luke Hospital. Fast." Uche started the engine. The car moved into the night. Streetlights passed them like blinking eyes. Ngozi stared ahead, holding her bag tight on her lap. Uche glanced at her through the mirror. "Madam, should I call anybody?" Ngozi's voice was calm, but heavy. "Call Mama Ada. Tell her we are going to the hospital." Uche nodded and made the call while driving. Ngozi leaned back and closed her eyes for 1 second. Her mind went back to the night she heard everything. "It will be clean," Chukwudi had said. Ngozi opened her eyes again. Outside, Lagos looked asleep, but her world was wide awake. When they reached the hospital, the front was bright with lights. Nurses moved quickly. A security man pointed them toward the emergency room. Ngozi ran, her shoes tapping the floor. As she turned the corner, she saw doctors and nurses around a stretcher. She saw blood on a white shirt. She saw Chukwudi's face, pale and still. Ngozi rushed forward. "Chukwudi." A doctor raised his hand. "Madam, please, give us space." Ngozi's chest rose and fell fast. "Is he alive?" "Yes," the doctor said, "but he needs urgent care. Please wait." They pushed him into a room and shut the door. Ngozi stood there, staring at the door like it could open by force of her eyes. Then she heard footsteps behind her. Fast, hurried footsteps. She turned, and there was Lillian, Her hair was messy, her eyes wide, acting shocked, like she had been crying. She ran toward Ngozi, almost too dramatic. "Oh my God," Lillian said, breathless. "Madam Ngozi, I heard. I came as soon as I could." Ngozi looked at her. For a second, the two women stared at each other. Lillian's lips trembled like she was about to cry again. Ngozi's face did not change. Inside her mind, a single thought stood tall. So this is the day. Ngozi blinked slowly, then spoke in a soft voice. "Yes," she said. "You came fast." Lillian swallowed. Is he okay?" Ngozi turned back to the closed door. "I don't know yet," she said. And as she stood there in the hospital light, quiet and steady, Ngozi already knew one thing. This was not the end. This was the beginning. Ngozi stayed where she was, standing in front of the hospital room, her eyes fixed on the closed door. Nurses moved in and out, their shoes making soft sounds on the floor. A doctor spoke to Mama Ada in low tones. Uche stood a little behind, not knowing what to do with his hands. Lillian stayed close. Too close. She kept touching her phone, then putting it down, then touching it again. She looked at the door every few seconds like she was waiting for a sign. When she spoke, her voice was always just loud enough for people to hear. "This is so shocking," Lillian said, shaking her head. "Sir was fine just yesterday." Ngozi did not answer. Mama Ada turned to Ngozi and held her hand. "My daughter, be strong." Ngozi nodded slowly. "I am trying, Mama." After what felt like a long time, the door opened. A doctor came out. He was tall and tired-looking. "Mrs. Okafor," he said. Ngozi stepped forward. "Yes. Your husband is stable," the doctor said. "The accident caused a head injury. He is awake now, but he is confused." Ngozi's heart tightened. "Confused how?" The doctor took a breath. "He remembers some things. His name, his work. But he is struggling with personal memory." Mama Ada gasped. "What does that mean?" The doctor looked at her. "He may not remember some people." Ngozi felt Lillian's hand press into her arm. "Can we see him?" Lillian asked quickly. The doctor hesitated. "One person at a time." Mama Ada looked at Ngozi. "Go. You are his wife." Ngozi nodded and followed the doctor inside. The room smelled clean and sharp. Machines beeped softly. Chukwudi lay on the bed, his head wrapped in white bandage. His eyes were open. For a moment, Ngozi forgot everything. The plans, the lies, the listening behind doors. She just saw her husband. She walked closer. "Chukwudi," she said softly. His eyes moved to her face. He stared. Long, hard, empty. "Who are you?" he asked. The words hit the room like cold water. Ngozi's chest shook. She stepped closer. "It's me. Ngozi, your wife." He frowned. "My wife?" "Yes," she said. Her voice cracked a little, just enough to sound real. "I'm your wife." He looked away, confused. I don't remember." The doctor stepped in. "Sir, try to relax. This is normal." Chukwudi looked back at Ngozi, his eyes searching. "I'm sorry," he said. "I don't know you." Ngozi felt tears come to her eyes. This time, they were not forced. "It's okay," she whispered. "Just rest." She turned and walked out. Lillian rushed in immediately, not waiting for permission. "Chukwudi," she cried, running to the bed. "Oh, thank God." Chukwudi's eyes lit up. "Lillian," he said, relief washing over his face. "You're here." Ngozi stood at the door. She watched it happen. The doctor noticed too. "You remember her?" the doctor asked. "Yes," Chukwudi said. "She works with me. She's important." Lillian smiled through fake tears. "I was so scared," she said, squeezing his hand. The doctor nodded slowly, writing something down. Ngozi stepped back into the hallway. Mama Ada looked at her face and understood everything without words. "He didn't remember you," Mama Ada said quietly. Ngozi shook her head. Mama Ada covered her mouth. "Chai." Later that night, when visiting time was over, Ngozi sat alone in the waiting area. The hospital lights were dim now. Her phone buzzed with messages she did not read. Her mind drifted backward, to the night that changed everything. The night she stood behind the door and listened. She remembered the sound of Lillian's laugh, the calm in Chukwudi's voice, how sure he sounded. "It will be clean," he had said. Ngozi closed her eyes. She remembered how she did not scream, how she did not walk in to confront them, how she went back to the bed and pretended to sleep beside a man who had already left her in his mind. That night, she made a choice. If they wanted to play, she would let them act. But she would write the ending. The next morning, Chukwudi was moved to a private room. Family members came and went. Friends brought flowers. Lillian stayed like she belonged there. Ngozi stayed too. She watched. She listened. A nurse walked in and smiled at Lillian. "Madam, he has been asking for you." Ngozi noticed how Lillian did not correct her. Inside the room, Chukwudi was calmer. He smiled at Lillian when she sat beside him. When Ngozi entered, he went quiet. "I'll give you space," Ngozi said softly and stepped back. Chukwudi nodded, like he was relieved. Outside, Ngozi leaned against the wall. She pulled out her phone and opened a voice recorder. She did not turn it on yet. Not now. Soon. Later that day, a doctor called Ngozi aside. "Mrs. Okafor," he said, "your husband's memory loss is selective. It's strange." Ngozi tilted her head. "Strange how?" "He remembers some emotional ties but not others," the doctor said. "Stress can do that." Ngozi nodded. "Will he recover?" The doctor sighed. "Maybe, maybe not." Ngozi lowered her eyes. "Thank you, doctor." That night, Mama Ada went home to rest. Lillian stayed behind, claiming she wanted to help. Ngozi sat on a chair near the bed. Chukwudi opened his eyes and looked at her. "You're still here," he said. "Yes," Ngozi replied. He studied her face. "You seem familiar." Ngozi's heart jumped, but she stayed calm. "I'm around a lot." He nodded slowly. "I don't feel anything when I look at you." "I know," Ngozi said. He shifted uncomfortably. "You don't look angry." Ngozi smiled sadly. "I'm tired." He looked away. Lillian entered the room just then. "Oh, you're awake," she said brightly. "Do you need anything?" Chukwudi smiled at her. "Sit." Lillian sat. Ngozi stood up. "I'll give you space." Lillian did not even look at her. As Ngozi walked out, she pressed the record button on her phone. She stood just outside the door. Inside, Lillian spoke in a low voice. "You're doing well." Chukwudi replied. "Is it working?" "Yes," Lillian said. "Everyone believes it." Ngozi's fingers tightened around the phone. "Good," Chukwudi said. "I just need time." Ngozi turned off the recorder. Her face stayed calm. Her heart was steady. That night, as she drove home alone, the city lights passing by her window, Ngozi made a quiet promise to herself. She would not rush. She would not cry in public again. She would let them think they were winning. Because the best trap is the one people walk into smiling. And she had already laid the first stone. Ngozi did not sleep much that night. When she got home from the hospital, she bathed and changed, but her body still felt like it was inside that bright white hallway. The sound of machines, the smell of medicine, and the soft way Chukwudi said, "Is it working?" kept playing in her head like a song she could not stop. In the morning, she dressed in simple black. Not because she was mourning, but because it made people look at her with pity. Pity was useful. Pity made people careless. She drove back to Street Luke Hospital before the sun got too high. As she entered the private ward, the security man at the gate nodded and greeted her with respect. "Good morning, madam." Ngozi forced a small smile. "Good morning." Inside, she saw Lillian already seated beside Chukwudi's bed, holding his hand like it belonged to her. A plate of fruit sat on the side table. Lillian was feeding him grapes slowly, like a movie scene. Chukwudi laughed softly. It was the kind of laugh Ngozi used to hear at home. Ngozi paused at the door for 1 second, then walked in. Lillian looked up, and her smile dropped just a little before she quickly fixed it. "Madam Ngozi," Lillian said, sounding sweet. "Good morning." Ngozi nodded. "Good morning." Chukwudi turned his head and stared at Ngozi like she was a stranger who walked into the wrong room. The silence between them was thick. Ngozi walked closer and placed a small bag on the chair. "How are you feeling today?" she asked. Chukwudi shrugged. "Fine." Ngozi waited, like she expected more. When none came, she nodded again. Lillian quickly filled the space. "He slept better last night," she said. "The nurses said his blood pressure is stable." Ngozi looked at Lillian calmly. "That's good." Lillian smiled. "Yes, God is kind." Ngozi did not reply to that. Instead, she turned to Chukwudi again. "Do you remember anything new today?" she asked. Chukwudi stared at her face as if he was trying to pull a memory out of her eyes. "I remember work," he said slowly. "I remember my office. I remember some people." Ngozi leaned forward. "Do you remember our home?" Chukwudi's eyes narrowed. "No." Lillian touched his arm. "Don't stress yourself," she said softly. "Doctor said you should take it small. Don't. Ngozi watched that touch. Then she did something that surprised even herself. She sat down. Not far. Not close. Just enough to show she was not running away. "I'm not here to stress you," Ngozi said gently. "I'm here because I'm your wife." Chukwudi's face tightened. "You keep saying that." Ngozi nodded slowly. "Because it's true." Lillian's smile became stiff. "Madam, maybe you should give him time. He's not himself." Ngozi looked at her. "I know. That is why I came early. To help." Lillian blinked. "Help how?" Ngozi turned back to Chukwudi. "We can talk about small things. Things you like. Maybe it will help your memory." Chukwudi looked unsure, like he did not expect her to keep pushing politely. "What do you like to eat?" Ngozi asked. Chukwudi frowned. I like..." Lillian quickly answered. "He likes pepper soup." Ngozi's eyes stayed on Chukwudi. "Is that true?" Chukwudi nodded slowly. "Yes. Pepper soup." Ngozi smiled faintly. "You used to like it with extra scent leaf." Chukwudi stared at her again. Lillian's fingers tightened around the grape in her hand, then she dropped it back into the plate. A nurse entered and cleared her throat. "Visiting time rules," she said gently. "Only one person should stay close to the patient." Lillian lifted her chin. "I'm his." She stopped herself. Ngozi stood up calmly. "It's okay," she said. "I will step out." Chukwudi did not stop her. As Ngozi walked into the hallway, she heard Lillian's voice behind her, low and fast. "Why does she keep coming?" Ngozi kept walking, acting like she did not hear, but her phone recorder was already on in her bag, quietly taking everything. Chukwudi answered, his voice tired. "Let her come. It makes it look real." Lillian hissed, "But she's not stupid. I don't like her eyes. They're too calm." Chukwudi replied, "Relax. She's broken. You saw her yesterday." Ngozi turned off the recorder and breathed out slowly. Broken. That was what they wanted to believe. Later that afternoon, Mama Ada came to visit. She walked into the room with a small Bible in her hand and worry on her face. "My son," she said, touching Chukwudi's shoulder. "How are you?" Chukwudi smiled at her. "Mama." Mama Ada's eyes filled with tears. "You remember me. Thank God." Then her face changed as she looked at Ngozi standing near the wall. "Ngozi," Mama Ada said softly. Has he remembered you?" Ngozi swallowed. "Not yet, Mama." Mama Ada turned to Chukwudi sharply. "Chukwudi, look at her. This is your wife. Your wife." Chukwudi looked away, like the words were too heavy. "I don't know her," he said. Mama Ada raised her voice. "How can you not know your own wife?" Lillian stepped forward quickly. "Mama, please, don't shout. Doctor said he needs peace." Mama Ada turned to Lillian with tired eyes. "And you? Why are you always here?" Lillian smiled politely. "Mama, I work with him. I'm just helping." Mama Ada looked between them. She did not say what she was thinking, but it was clear on her face. Ngozi walked closer and held Mama Ada's arm gently. "Mama, please. she said in a calm voice. Let him rest. Shouting won't help. Mama Ada looked at Ngozi, confused. Ngozi, are you not angry? Ngozi smiled sadly. Anger won't bring his memory back. Mama Ada shook her head slowly. You are too gentle. Ngozi did not correct her. When Mama Ada left, she pulled Ngozi aside in the hallway. My daughter, she said quietly, this thing is not normal. That girl, Lillian, she is too comfortable. Ngozi nodded slowly. I see it too, Mama. Mama Ada held Ngozi's hands. If you need me, talk to me. Don't suffer alone. Ngozi forced her eyes to look watery. Thank you, Mama. That evening, the doctor called a small meeting in Chukwudi's room. It was the doctor, a nurse, Mama Ada, Ngozi, and Lillian. The doctor spoke carefully. Mr. Okafor's memory may improve slowly, but we must accept that some things may not return. Mama Ada's mouth dropped. So he might not remember his wife? The doctor nodded. It is possible. Ngozi's heart squeezed, not because she believed it, but because hearing it said out loud still hurt. Lillian covered her mouth and pretended to cry. Oh no, she whispered. This is too much. Chukwudi stared at the ceiling, acting confused and weak. Mama Ada looked at Ngozi again. Ngozi, what will you do? Ngozi took a slow breath, like she was gathering strength. I will stay, she said. I will take care of him. He is still my husband. Lillian's eyes flashed for half a second, then she smiled again. The doctor nodded. That is good. He will need support. After the doctor left, Lillian walked close to Ngozi near the window. Madam, Lillian said softly, I admire you. Not everyone can be this strong. Ngozi looked at her. Thank you. Lillian's voice became lower. But, you should also think of yourself. If he doesn't remember you, it will be painful. Maybe you should let him go. Ngozi's face stayed calm. Let him go to who? Lillian blinked, then laughed nervously. I mean, let him rest. Let him heal. Ngozi nodded slowly. Yes, healing is important. Lillian smiled and walked back to the bed. Ngozi stood there, watching her, and in her mind, she saw the same picture again. The night behind the door, the plan, the lie, and now, the acting in full daylight. Ngozi walked out of the room, her steps quiet and steady, and she made a decision right there in the hallway. If Chukwudi wanted to pretend she was nobody, then she would become nobody in front of them. A shadow, a silent person, someone they would stop fearing. Because once people stop fearing you, they start making mistakes in front of you. And mistakes were what Ngozi needed. As she reached the hospital entrance, she pulled out her phone and looked at the recordings she had taken so far. It was not enough yet, but it was a start. Then she looked back at the building and spoke under her breath, so softly that only she could hear. Continue, she whispered. Act well. I'm watching. Ngozi did exactly what she told herself she would do. She became a shadow. For the next few days, she still came to the hospital, but she stopped asking too many questions. She stopped trying to force Chukwudi to remember. She spoke softly, greeted nurses, and sat quietly in the corner like a woman who had accepted her fate. And because she did that, Lillian became bolder. One morning, as Ngozi walked into the private ward, she saw Lillian standing at the nurse's station, speaking like she owned the place. Please, Lillian said, tapping the counter. Make sure his meals come on time. No spicy food, and no visitors without my approval. The nurse nodded quickly. Yes, madam. Ngozi slowed her steps and watched it. Lillian did not even notice her at first. When Lillian finally turned and saw Ngozi, she smiled like a winner. Madam Ngozi, she said. Good morning. Ngozi nodded. Good morning. Lillian stepped closer, lowering her voice. He slept well. He asked for me this morning. Ngozi's face did not change. That's good. Lillian's smile grew wider, but her eyes stayed sharp. You're taking this well. Ngozi looked at her calmly. What choice do I have? Lillian laughed softly, then walked away. Ngozi entered Chukwudi's room. He was sitting up now, not fully strong, but looking better. He held a remote control and flipped through TV channels. When he saw Ngozi, his face tightened like he was tired of seeing her. "You again," he said. Ngozi kept her voice gentle. "Yes. I came to see how you are doing." He shrugged. "I'm fine." Ngozi pulled a chair and sat a little far from the bed. "That's good." Chukwudi stared at her for a long moment. "You don't talk much again." Ngozi nodded. "I don't want to stress you." He looked confused, like he expected her to fight. Then Lillian walked in carrying a food flask and a small bag. "Hi, love," Lillian said brightly. Ngozi's stomach turned at the word love, but she kept her face calm. Chukwudi's eyes softened. "You're here." "Of course," Lillian said. She placed the bag on the chair beside the bed, then turned and looked at Ngozi like she was a guest who had overstayed. "Madam, you're still here?" Ngozi stood up immediately. "I'll go soon." Chukwudi did not stop her. Ngozi walked out into the hallway and sat on a bench. She could still hear their voices through the half-closed door. Lillian spoke low. "She came again." Chukwudi sighed. "Let her. The more she comes, the more people believe I'm really sick." Lillian's voice sharpened. "But she is watching. I don't like it." Chukwudi replied, "You worry too much." Ngozi's fingers pressed into her phone inside her bag. She turned on the recorder quietly. Lillian said, "How long do you want to drag this?" Chukwudi answered, "Till everything is ready." Lillian said, "And the divorce?" Chukwudi paused. "Soon. I'll tell the lawyer to handle it." Ngozi turned off the recorder and breathed out slowly. So it had begun. Later that day, Ngozi sat with Mama Ada in the hospital cafeteria. Mama Ada barely touched her tea. "My daughter," Mama Ada said, "I don't understand what is happening. It's like my son is there, but he is not there." Ngozi lowered her eyes. "It's confusing, Mama." Mama Ada leaned forward. "And that Lillian, why is she acting like the wife?" Ngozi looked up slowly. "Because nobody has told her to stop." Mama Ada's mouth fell open. "Ngozi, you mean you will allow it?" Ngozi reached across the table and held Mama Ada's hand. "Mama, I am not allowing anything. I am watching. Please, trust me." Mama Ada stared at her. "Ngozi, what do you mean?" Ngozi's voice was soft. "I mean, if I shout, they will hide things. If I stay calm, they will make mistakes in front of me." Mama Ada swallowed. "So you think this amnesia is fake?" Ngozi did not answer directly. She just squeezed Mama Ada's hand and said, "Please, let's not talk too loud." Mama Ada's eyes widened like she finally understood the danger. That evening, Chukwudi was discharged from the hospital and moved back home, but not into the main bedroom. He stayed in the guest room because of his condition, as the doctor advised. Ngozi stood in the living room as nurses helped him inside. Family members came to welcome him. Friends brought gifts. Lillian arrived too, dressed like she belonged there. When she entered the house, she did not even ask Ngozi for permission. She walked straight toward Chukwudi. "Are you okay?" Lillian asked, holding his arm. Chukwudi nodded. "I'm fine." Ngozi watched from the side. Mama Ada pulled Ngozi close and whispered, "This thing is getting worse." Ngozi whispered back, "Let it get worse. That's how it will end." A few days later, Chukwudi's lawyer came to the house. His name was Barrister Deji, a neat man with careful eyes. He wore a light suit and carried a brown file. Ngozi saw him enter the sitting room and greet Chukwudi politely. "Good afternoon, sir," Barrister Deji said. Chukwudi nodded. "Good afternoon." Lillian sat beside Chukwudi like she was his wife. Ngozi sat across from them, calm and quiet. Barrister Deji cleared his throat. "Sir, I came to discuss some legal matters, as you requested." Chukwudi glanced at Lillian, then back at the lawyer. "Yes, let's talk." Ngozi lifted her head slightly. "Legal matters?" Chukwudi looked at her with empty eyes. "Yes." Barrister Deji opened the file slowly. "Because of your condition, sir, the company board is asking for clarity. Also, your personal life needs clarity too." Ngozi's heart beat once, hard. Then Barrister Deji said the words that made the room feel smaller. A separation may be necessary. Nosy stared at him. Separation? Barrister Deji nodded politely. Madam, it's a suggestion. If Sir does not remember the marriage, it may create tension and stress. Lillian touched Chukwudi's hand gently. Maybe it's for the best, she said softly. Ngozi looked at Lillian, then looked back at Chukwudi. Chukwudi spoke slowly, acting like it was painful. I don't want stress. I want peace. Ngozi leaned forward a little. So you want to separate from me? Chukwudi stared at her like he was trying to sound kind. I don't know you. I don't want to pretend. Ngozi's throat tightened, but she kept her voice steady. And who do you know? Chukwudi looked at Lillian. I know her. Lillian's face softened like she was acting for an award. I'm here for you, she whispered. Ngozi nodded slowly, like the words had crushed her. Mama Ada, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke. No, Mama Ada shouted. This is madness. How can you tell your wife this in her own house? Chukwudi looked annoyed. Mama, please. Mama Ada stood up. Please what? You don't remember the woman who stood with you when you had nothing? You remember your secretary, but you don't remember your wife? What kind of sickness is that? Lillian stood quickly. Mama, please don't insult me. Mama Ada pointed at Lillian. You, keep quiet. I know your type. Lillian's eyes filled with tears, fake and fast. I'm only trying to help. Ngozi stood up and moved closer to Mama Ada, holding her gently. Mama, Ngozi said softly, please, don't shout. Let's talk calmly. Mama Ada turned to Ngozi, shocked. Ngozi, you are still protecting him? Ngozi nodded slowly. I'm protecting myself too. Barrister Deji cleared his throat again. Madam, nobody is saying you should be thrown out. We can handle it peacefully. Ngozi looked at the lawyer. Peacefully means what? Barrister Deji opened a page in the file. A legal separation or divorce, depending on what you both agree. It will be respectful. Ngozi's eyes moved to Chukwudi. Do you agree to divorce me? Chukwudi acted tired. I want peace. Lillian leaned in and whispered to him, but loud enough for Ngozi to hear. Just do it, Lillian said. This is the fastest way. Ngozi turned her face away like she was in pain. Inside her mind, she was calm. Because this was exactly what she expected. She looked back at Barrister Deji and spoke in a quiet voice. If this is what he wants, Ngozi said, then bring the papers. Mama Ada shouted again. Ngozi. Ngozi squeezed Mama Ada's hand. Mama, please. Trust me. Lillian's eyes lit up for a second, then she quickly pretended to look sad. Chukwudi nodded slowly like a man making a hard choice. Thank you, he said. Ngozi stared at him and forced a small smile. Don't thank me yet, she whispered in her mind. Because what they did not know was simple. Ngozi was not agreeing because she was weak. Ngozi was agreeing because she was setting the trap. And the moment they brought those papers, they would step into it with both feet. Barrister Deji did not bring the papers that same day. He left the house after the tense meeting, promising to prepare everything neatly. Lillian acted like she was sad, but she could not hide the shine in her eyes. Chukwudi went back to the guest room with two nurses, acting weak. Ngozi stood in the living room with Mama Ada long after everyone moved away. Mama Ada's chest was rising and falling fast. Ngozi, what are you doing? She asked, her voice shaking. Why did you agree? Why? Ngozi kept her tone low. Mama, please. Not here. Mama Ada looked around like the walls had ears. So you really think he is lying? Ngozi did not answer with words. She just looked at Mama Ada's face and nodded once, slowly. Mama Ada's eyes widened. Chai. My own son. Ngozi held her hand. Mama, don't fight them. If you fight, they will become careful. Mama Ada whispered. Then what should I do? Ngozi squeezed her hand again. Just watch. And when I tell you to be quiet, be quiet. Mama Ada swallowed hard. Okay. That night, Ngozi did not go to the main bedroom. She stayed in a smaller room downstairs. She left the big room empty on purpose, like a woman who had accepted defeat. But she was not defeated. She was listening. Close to midnight, She heard footsteps moving softly in the hallway. Then she heard Chukwudi's guest room door open. A second later, she heard Lillian's voice. "I told you she will agree," Lillian whispered. Chukwudi's voice replied, low and pleased. "Of course. She hates disgrace." Lillian laughed under her breath. "Now we just need the papers. Once she signs, I will start planning the wedding." Chukwudi said, "Don't rush too much. It has to look clean." Lillian hissed, "Clean? You already faked a whole sickness." Chukwudi warned, "Keep your voice down." Ngozi lay still in bed, her eyes open in the dark. She did not record this one. She already had enough. In the morning, she woke up early and dressed like she had a normal day. She walked into the kitchen and greeted the staff. "Good morning," she said calmly. The cook, Auntie Said, looked worried. "Madam, are you okay?" Ngozi smiled gently. "I'm fine." Auntie Said hesitated. "Madam, people are talking." Ngozi nodded. "Let them talk." From the corner of her eye, she saw Lillian entering the house again, wearing a neat gown, perfume strong, chin high. Lillian's heels clicked on the floor like she was already the owner. Lillian greeted the staff loudly. "Good morning, everyone." The staff replied softly, unsure. Lillian turned to Ngozi. "Madam Ngozi," she said sweetly. "Good morning." Ngozi looked at her calmly. "Good morning." Lillian glanced around the house like she was inspecting it. "Is Sir awake?" Ngozi answered, "I'm not his nurse." Lillian's smile paused, then returned. "True. I will check on him." She walked toward the guest room. Ngozi watched her go, then took her tea and sat at the dining table. A few minutes later, she heard Lillian's voice again, coming from the hallway. "Love," Lillian said, loud enough to be heard. "How are you feeling today?" Chukwudi replied, still acting weak. "Better." Lillian giggled. "Good, because we have a lot to do." Ngozi took a slow sip of her tea. That afternoon, Barrister Deji returned. He came with a thicker file this time and a polite smile that did not reach his eyes. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Okafor," he greeted. Ngozi nodded. "Good afternoon." Mama Ada sat in the living room too, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Lillian was also there, sitting close to Chukwudi. Chukwudi acted like he was tired from just sitting up. Barrister Deji opened the file. "Madam, these are the papers." Ngozi's heart beat slowly, steady, like a drum that knew the song already. She reached for the file. "Let me see." Barrister Deji gave it to her. "Take your time." Lillian leaned forward slightly, pretending to look concerned. "Madam, you don't have to stress yourself. It's simple." Ngozi looked at her. "Then you should be the one signing." Lillian's mouth opened, then closed. Chukwudi cleared his throat. "Ngozi, I'm sorry." Ngozi kept her eyes on the papers. "You don't know me, remember?" Chukwudi looked away. Ngozi flipped through the pages slowly. She read every line like she was reading a story she already knew. Some parts were meant to protect Chukwudi. Some parts were meant to remove her. But Ngozi noticed something else too. There were spaces. Spaces where she could push things quietly. She picked up a pen and marked a page. Barrister Deji noticed. "Madam, is there a problem?" Ngozi looked up. "This part about the house. I want it clear. I won't be dragged out like a criminal." Chukwudi frowned. Ngozi cut him off softly. "You want peace, right? Peace has rules." Barrister Deji nodded quickly. "Of course, we can adjust it." Lillian's voice was tight. "Madam, why are you complicating it?" Ngozi turned to Lillian again. "Because it is my life." Mama Ada stared at Ngozi, suddenly seeing the strength under her calm voice. Barrister Deji said, "Madam, what changes do you want?" Ngozi pointed. "I want it stated clearly that any money moved during this period must be reviewed by both parties." Chukwudi's eyes flashed for a second, but he quickly covered it. "Why?" Lillian asked sharply. Ngozi shrugged. "Because I don't trust anybody right now." The room went quiet. Barrister Deji cleared his throat. "That's not usual, madam." Ngozi smiled slightly. "Then we do it in an unusual way." Chukwudi forced a small laugh. "Ngozi, You are still the same. Nosy looked at him. You don't remember me, but you remember my attitude. He went silent. After more back and forth, Barrister Deji finally adjusted the pages. He printed fresh copies and placed them on the table. Madam, he said, when you sign, it becomes official. Lillian held her breath. Chukwudi watched Ngozi carefully, like he was trying to read her mind. Nosy picked up the pen. Mama Ada whispered, Ngozi. Ngozi looked at Mama Ada, then gave her a calm look that said, trust me. Then Ngozi signed. Her signature was neat and steady, like she was signing a normal document, not the end of her marriage. Lillian let out a small breath like she had been holding air inside her chest for days. Chukwudi nodded slowly, acting sad. Thank you, he said quietly. Ngozi closed the file gently. You're welcome. Lillian could not hide her smile now. Madam, I'm sorry for everything, she said, but her voice sounded happy. Ngozi stood up. It's fine. Barrister Deji packed the papers. I will file them, he said. In a few days, it will be done. Ngozi nodded. Okay. As Barrister Deji left, Lillian stepped closer to Ngozi like a friend. You are strong, Lillian said softly. I didn't expect this. Ngozi looked at her calmly. People don't expect many things. Lillian smiled again. I hope you find happiness. Ngozi's eyes stayed steady. I will. That night, Ngozi sat alone in her room downstairs, her phone in her hand. She listened to her recordings again, the ones where Chukwudi and Lillian spoke freely. She did not smile. She did not cry. She just planned. Because signing those papers was not her loss. It was her bait. Now they believed she had accepted defeat. Now they would move faster. Now Lillian would start planning the wedding like a hungry person who thought the food was already served. Ngozi whispered to herself, so softly that the room barely held the sound. Plan your wedding, she said. Make it big. Then she looked at the screen of her phone and tapped another contact. It was a number saved as Mr. Bala, her bank manager. The call connected. Good evening, madame, Mr. Bala said. Ngozi's voice was calm, like she was ordering something simple. Good evening, she said. I'm ready to start. Mr. Bala did not talk much on the phone. He was the type of man who always sounded careful, like he was reading every word before he spoke it out loud. Madam, he said, are you sure? Nosy stood by the window in her small room downstairs. Outside, the compound lights were on. Inside, her face stayed calm. Yes, she replied. I am sure. Mr. Bala lowered his voice. This is sensitive. If we move too early, they will notice. Nosy nodded even though he could not see her. We are not moving too early. We are moving at the right time. There was a pause. Then Mr. Bala asked, what do you want me to do first? Ngozi looked down at the papers Barrister Deji had brought earlier. She remembered every line she had demanded be added. First, Nosy said, flag the major accounts. Not freeze yet. Just flag them for review, like we agreed. Mr. Bala breathed out. Okay, and after that? Ngozi's voice stayed soft. After that, we wait. Mr. Bala said, Madam, you understand that if he tries to transfer money? I know, Nosy cut in gently. That is the plan. Mr. Bala hesitated. And if they ask questions? Ngozi answered, tell them it is normal process. Nothing more. Mr. Bala said, all right. I will do it. Nosy ended the call and sat on the bed. Her hands did not shake. Her breathing was steady. She felt like a person placing stones quietly on a road, one after the other, until the road became a wall. The next morning, the house felt strange. It was the same house, but the air inside it was different now. People spoke in softer tones. Staff walked carefully like they were stepping around glass. Everyone knew the divorce papers had been signed, even if nobody said it out loud. Nosy came downstairs and met Lillian in the kitchen. Lillian was wearing a bright dress, like she was celebrating something. She held her phone up, showing the cook pictures. I want this cake, Lillian was saying happily. 4 layers, white and gold. The cook nodded nervously. Yes, madam. Nosy walked closer and greeted calmly. "Good morning." Lillian turned, her eyes shining. "Madam Ngozi." "Good morning." Ngozi looked at the phone screen for a second. It was a wedding cake. Nosy nodded. "Nice." Lillian smiled wider, like she wanted Ngozi to feel pain. "Thank you. I want everything to be perfect." Nosy tilted her head. "Perfect for who?" Lillian laughed lightly. "For me, of course." Ngozi nodded. "Enjoy." She walked away, leaving Lillian confused for a second. Later that day, Ngozi went to see Mama Ada. Mama Ada sat in her own house, looking tired, like grief had been eating her slowly. "My daughter," Mama Ada said as soon as Ngozi entered, "tell me the truth. What is going on?" Nosy sat close to her and spoke softly. "Mama, I can't tell you everything, but I need you to do something." Mama Ada leaned forward. "Anything." Ngozi held her hands. "When they invite you to the wedding, go." Mama Ada's mouth dropped. "Wedding? You mean that girl's wedding?" Ngozi nodded. "Yes." Mama Ada's eyes filled with tears. "Nosy, do you want to kill me?" Ngozi shook her head gently. "No, Mama. I want you to witness something." Mama Ada swallowed hard. "What thing?" Ngozi smiled faintly. "Justice." Mama Ada stared at Ngozi's face and slowly nodded. "Okay, I will go." Back at the Okafor house, the wedding plans became louder and faster. Vendors started coming in and out. Tailors brought fabrics. Decor people brought sample flowers. Lillian moved around the house like a queen, giving orders. Chukwudi also looked stronger now. He started wearing clean shirts, walking around more, taking calls again. But each time Nosy saw him, he still acted like she was not there. One afternoon, Ngozi walked past the guest room and heard his voice inside. He was on a call. "Yes," Chukwudi said. "We will announce it soon." Pause. "Everything is under control," he continued. "She already signed. She won't fight." Ngozi kept walking like she did not hear. But her heart stayed steady. Each careless word was another nail. 2 days later, an official invitation arrived at the house. It was printed in gold letters. The wedding of Chukwudi Okafor and Lillian Eze. Nosy held the card in her hand and stared at the words. Lillian walked in and saw it. "Oh," Lillian said, acting surprised. "The invitations are ready." Nosy looked up. "You put your name there fast." Lillian smiled boldly. "Why not? It will be my name very soon." Nosy nodded slowly. "Okay." Lillian stepped closer. "You will come, right?" Ngozi raised an eyebrow. "Come where?" "To the wedding," Lillian said, still smiling. "People will expect you to be there. If you don't come, they will say you are bitter." Ngozi looked at her calmly. "Do you want me there?" Lillian's smile sharpened. "Yes. I want you to see it with your own eyes." Nosy nodded. "Okay. I will come." Lillian blinked. She did not expect that answer. "You will?" Lillian asked. Ngozi's voice stayed even. "Yes." Lillian laughed. "Wow. You are stronger than I thought." Ngozi smiled faintly. "Maybe." That night, Ngozi sat in her room and called Mr. Bala again. He answered quickly, like he was expecting her. "Madam," he said, "I have flagged the accounts, like you requested." Ngozi replied, "Good." Mr. Bala continued, "But there is something else. There was an attempt to move funds today. A large amount." Ngozi's eyes narrowed. "From who?" Mr. Bala said. "From Mr. Okafor's personal account." Nosy's voice stayed calm, but her words became sharp. "Did it go through?" Mr. Bala replied, "No. It triggered the review. We stopped it and marked it as pending." Ngozi let out a slow breath. "Perfect." Mr. Bala hesitated. "Madam, he might get angry." Nosy answered, "Let him." She ended the call. The next morning, the explosion happened. Ngozi was in the living room when she heard Chukwudi shouting from the guest room. "What do you mean my transfer is pending?" Chukwudi yelled into his phone. "Do you know who I am?" Lillian rushed into the room, scared. "Chukwudi, what is it?" Chukwudi slammed the phone down and stood up, his face red. "Something is wrong with my account," he said. Lillian's eyes widened. "Wrong how?" Chukwudi hissed. "The bank is delaying a transfer. A big one." Lillian grabbed his arm. "But why? You are Chukwudi Okafor." Chukwudi's chest rose and fell. "Exactly. They should not delay me." Nosy stood quietly at the door of the room, like she just happened to be passing. Chukwudi turned and saw her. His face tightened. "You," he said, like her presence annoyed him. Ngozi looked calm. "Is everything okay?" Chukwudi pointed at her. "Did you do something?" Nosy blinked slowly. "Do what?" "My money," Chukwudi snapped. "My transfer." "Did you touch something?" Nosy's face stayed innocent. "Why would I touch your money?" Lillian stepped forward. "Don't act like you don't know. You have been too calm." Ngozi turned to Lillian. "Calmness is now a crime?" Chukwudi stepped closer, angry. "Stop talking in riddles. Answer me." Ngozi looked at him directly. "If your transfer is pending, call your bank. Maybe they are just doing their job." Chukwudi's eyes burned. "They said it needs review because of the separation papers." Ngozi nodded slowly. "Ah." Lillian's mouth fell open. "What separation papers?" Ngozi looked at Lillian like she was slow. "The ones you pushed for." Chukwudi snapped. "Why is it affecting my account?" Ngozi's voice stayed gentle. "Because I asked the lawyer to add a clause that any major money movement during this period should be reviewed." Chukwudi froze. Lillian spun to him. "You allowed that?" Chukwudi's face went stiff. "I thought it was small." Nosy leaned slightly on the door frame. "Nothing is small when it is my life." Lillian's voice rose. "You tricked us." Ngozi smiled faintly. "No. I read before I sign. You should try it." Chukwudi's anger looked like it wanted to burst out, but he held it back, remembering the act he was still playing. He forced his voice to calm down. "Fine," he said through his teeth. "We will settle it." Ngozi nodded. "Yes, settle it." Then she turned and walked away. Behind her, she heard Lillian whisper sharply, "This woman is not normal." And Chukwudi replied, low and tense, "Just keep going. The wedding is close. Once we marry, it won't matter." Nosy entered her room and closed the door. She did not smile, but inside her heart, a small light turned on. Because now they were nervous, and nervous people make bigger mistakes. The wedding day was getting closer, and Ngozi was ready. The days before the wedding moved fast, like a car that had lost its brakes. Inside the Okafor house, workers came in every morning and left late at night. Boxes of flowers arrived. Chairs were counted. The caterers tested meals. The sound of planning filled the air like noise you could not escape. Lillian loved it. She walked around with a clipboard, shouting soft orders with a sweet smile, as if she was doing charity. Whenever she saw Ngozi, she made sure to speak louder, so the staff would hear her. "Make sure the bridal room is perfect," Lillian said one afternoon. "No dust. No wrinkles. This wedding must look rich." Ngozi walked past her with a calm face. Lillian called her name like a child calling someone to come and watch her win. "Madam Ngozi." Ngozi stopped and turned. "Yes?" Lillian tilted her head. "Are you really coming to the wedding?" Nosy nodded slowly. "Yes." Lillian smiled, but her voice was sharp. "You won't cause drama, right?" Ngozi's eyes stayed steady. "Drama is not my hobby." Lillian laughed. "Good, because I want peace." Ngozi almost smiled, but she didn't. "So do I." That same day, Ngozi drove to the bank. She did not go through the normal door. Mr. Bala had arranged a private office, away from noise. When Ngozi entered, Mr. Bala stood up quickly. "Madam," he said, "welcome." Ngozi sat down. "Any new movement?" Mr. Bala opened a file. "Yes. There have been 3 attempts to move money this week. All large amounts." Nosy nodded calmly. "And they were stopped." Mr. Bala hesitated. "They are marked pending. Mr. Okafor is angry. He has called me 4 times. Ngozi leaned forward slightly. "Did you explain?" Mr. Bala lowered his voice. "I told him, It's because of the review clause. He keeps asking who added it. Ngozi's lips moved a little. And you said? I said it was part of the legal agreement, Mr. Bala replied. He asked if you did it. Ngozi's eyes stayed calm. And you? Mr. Bala swallowed. I said I cannot discuss your account details. Ngozi nodded. Good. Keep it that way. Mr. Bala looked worried. Madam, the wedding is close. If he cannot move money, he may try something else. Ngozi's voice stayed steady. Let him try. Mr. Bala hesitated again. Madam, you are sure you are safe? Ngozi looked at him. I have been unsafe since the day I heard their plan. Now I am just prepared. Mr. Bala said nothing after that. He only nodded like a man who had seen something he could not understand. Ngozi left the bank and drove straight to a small office building on the mainland. It did not look like much from outside, but inside, it was quiet and clean. This was where her lawyer sat. A woman named Barrister Zainab. Zainab was sharp, young, and serious. She didn't smile much. When she did, it was because she was confident, not because she was trying to be nice. Ngozi sat across from her. Zainab opened her laptop. Madam, I listened to the audio you sent. Ngozi nodded. What do you think? Zainab's eyes stayed cold. It is clear. He admitted it was fake. She admitted it was fake. We can use it. Ngozi asked quietly. Can they deny it? Zainab replied. They will try. But we will have more than one thing. We will have your recordings, bank movement attempts, the timing, and the hospital story. Ngozi leaned back. Good. Zainab looked at Ngozi closely. You are sure you want to wait till the wedding day? Ngozi's eyes stayed steady. Yes. Zainab's voice became softer. That day will be heavy. Ngozi nodded once. That's the point. Zainab said, Okay. Then we prepare everything for that day. The papers, the court order, the police report. Ngozi asked, Can we get police to act fast? Zainab replied, If we show them enough proof, yes. Also, the public setting will force action. Ngozi's lips pressed together. Good. Zainab closed her laptop. Madam Ngozi, there is one more thing. Ngozi leaned forward. Say it. Zainab said, Once this starts, you cannot stop it halfway. You must be ready for noise. Ngozi's voice was calm. I have been quiet long enough. Ngozi left the lawyer's office and drove home. As she entered the compound, she saw a large delivery van leaving. Workers carried more items inside. The house looked like a wedding hall already. She walked in and met Chukwudi in the hallway. He was dressed in a fine shirt and trousers, looking very strong now. If anyone saw him, they would wonder what sickness he had been acting. Chukwudi stopped when he saw her. His eyes went over her like she was air. Ngozi spoke first. Good evening. Chukwudi nodded without warmth. Good evening. Ngozi walked past him. Then he spoke, low and sharp. I know you did something. Ngozi stopped and turned slowly. Did something to what? Chukwudi stepped closer. My accounts. My transfers. You are blocking me. Ngozi looked at him like she was tired. I am not blocking you. Your own agreement is doing it. Chukwudi's jaw tightened. Remove it. Ngozi shook her head gently. No. Chukwudi's eyes narrowed. Ngozi, don't push me. Ngozi's voice stayed calm, but it landed hard. You already pushed me when you planned to erase me. Chukwudi froze. For a second, his face changed. Just a tiny crack, like a mask slipping. Then he forced himself back into his act. I don't understand you, he said. Ngozi nodded. Of course you don't. She walked away. Behind her, she heard Lillian's voice calling him. Chukwudi, the decorator is asking for you. Chukwudi answered quickly. I'm coming. 2 nights before the wedding, something happened that made Ngozi know the pressure was rising. She was in her room when she heard soft voices downstairs. She stepped closer to her door and listened. It was Lillian. She sounded angry. You told me this would be easy, Lillian whispered harshly. Chukwudi replied, Keep your voice down. Lillian hissed. How can I keep my voice down when I can't even access money for my own wedding? Chukwudi said, Relax. I will handle it. Lillian snapped. Handle it how? Your wife is calm, but she is dangerous. She is too calm. Chukwudi replied. She's just trying to look strong. Lillian's voice dropped lower. What if she knows? Chukwudi paused. That pause was loud. Then he said, she doesn't know anything. Lillian whispered. Then why did she add that clause? Why is the bank delaying you? Why did she agree so easily? Chukwudi sighed. Because she is proud. She didn't want the shame. Lillian sounded unsure. I don't like this. Chukwudi's voice became firm. The wedding will happen. After that, she will be out of my life. Lillian asked. And the amnesia story? Are you sure nobody will question it? Chukwudi answered. Everybody already believes it. Doctors wrote reports. My mother cried. Nosy cried. Lillian said, I still don't feel safe. Chukwudi replied, then act like you are safe. Nosy stepped back from the door. Her heart was steady. They were scared now. The next morning, Mama Ada called Ngozi. My daughter, Mama Ada said, her voice weak. I got the wedding invitation. Nosy replied softly, yes, Mama, please come. Mama Ada sighed. Ngozi, are you sure? Ngozi answered, Mama, when you come, sit and watch. Don't fight. Don't stand up. Mama Ada asked, why? Ngozi paused. Because when it starts, it will start fast. Mama Ada's voice shook. Ngozi, what are you planning? Ngozi said gently, truth. On the wedding day, Lagos woke up early. The sky was bright. The road to the venue was filled with cars, guests dressed in expensive clothes. Cameras flashed, music played. The hall was big and beautiful, covered in white and gold. Flowers lined the aisle. People whispered as they took pictures. Nosy arrived quietly. She did not come with noise. She wore a simple, elegant dress and walked with her head up, like she belonged anywhere she stepped into. When Lillian saw her, her smile became stiff. You came, Lillian said. Nosy nodded. I said I would. Lillian leaned in and whispered, just sit and behave. Ngozi looked at her. Same to you. Nosy walked to her seat. Mama Ada was already there, sitting like a woman carrying pain in her chest. Mama Ada looked at Ngozi with scared eyes. Ngozi. Nosy held her hand briefly. Mama, remember? Watch. Mama Ada nodded, holding back tears. Music started. People stood up. Chukwudi walked in, dressed like a king. He smiled like a man who had won. Then Lillian came in, dressed like a princess, smiling wide. She walked down the aisle like the world was hers. Ngozi sat still, eyes forward, calm. The pastor began, dearly beloved. Then, suddenly, the music cut. It didn't fade gently. It stopped like someone pulled a plug. Guests turned, confused. The hall became quiet. A man in a dark suit walked quickly toward the front with two uniformed officers behind him. People gasped. Lillian's smile froze. Chukwudi's eyes widened. The man raised a paper in his hand and spoke loudly. Sorry to interrupt, he said. This wedding cannot continue. And as everyone stared in shock, Ngozi finally stood up slowly, like a calm storm rising. She was ready to speak. The hall stayed frozen for a second, like everyone forgot how to breathe. The man in the dark suit stood near the altar with two uniformed officers behind him. His voice did not shake. He spoke like someone reading something that could not be argued with. This wedding cannot continue, he repeated, lifting the paper higher. This is a court order. The pastor stepped back slowly. Court order? He asked, confused. Lillian's bouquet slipped a little in her hands. Her smile was gone now. Her lips looked dry. Chukwudi took one step forward. Who are you? He asked sharply. Do you know where you are? The man turned slightly. My name is Mr. Adeyemi, he said. I am here on behalf of the court. Chukwudi's eyes flashed. This is nonsense. One of the officers spoke. Sir, calm down. Lillian's voice came out tight. What is the meaning of this? This is my wedding. Mr. Adeyemi looked at her calmly. Not anymore, madam. Murmurs rose in the hall. Phones came up. People started recording. A woman in the front row whispered, "Ah, something is happening." Ngozi stood up slowly from her seat. She did not rush. She did not run to the altar like a person fighting for a man. She walked like a person walking into her own house. Mama Ada grabbed her arm, shaking. "Ngozi, what is this?" Ngozi leaned close to her and whispered, "Mama, keep sitting. Just watch." Mama Ada's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded slowly. Ngozi stepped into the aisle. Guests turned their heads to follow her. Some looked shocked. Some looked excited, like they had been waiting for drama. Lillian saw Ngozi coming and her face changed fast. "What are you doing?" Lillian snapped. "Sit down." Ngozi stopped a few steps away from the altar. She looked at Lillian, then looked at Chukwudi. Chukwudi's jaw was tight. His eyes were angry, but under the anger was fear. It was the kind of fear he had been trying to hide for weeks. Ngozi spoke calmly. "Continue, Mr. Adeyemi." Mr. Adeyemi nodded and opened the paper. "This order is based on a petition filed by Mrs. Ngozi Okafor," he said loudly, so the whole hall could hear. "It states that Mr. Chukwudi Okafor committed fraud and false claims of memory loss for personal gain, and that the marriage being attempted today is tied to that fraud." The hall erupted in gasps. The pastor covered his mouth. "Jesus!" Lillian shouted. "Lies! It's a lie!" Chukwudi stepped forward, pointing at Ngozi. "You did this!" he barked. Ngozi's voice stayed soft. "Yes." Chukwudi laughed, but it sounded forced. "So you want to embarrass yourself like this? In public?" Ngozi nodded slowly. "Yes, because you embarrassed me first, behind closed doors." Lillian rushed toward Ngozi, her eyes wild. "You wicked woman! You couldn't just let me be happy." The officer stepped forward quickly and blocked Lillian. "Madam, stay back." Lillian struggled. "Leave me. She is ruining my life." Ngozi looked at Lillian calmly. "You ruined your own life the day you agreed to become someone's secret." Lillian's mouth dropped. "What did you say?" Ngozi turned her face to the crowd. Her voice was still calm, but now it was clear and strong. "Everybody here," Ngozi said, "I want you to listen. This is not a misunderstanding. This is not jealousy. This is not bitterness." Chukwudi tried to cut in. "Ngozi, stop this madness." Ngozi looked at him. "Do you want me to stop? Then tell them the truth." Chukwudi froze. Ngozi raised her phone in her hand. "I have recordings." The hall went silent again, like someone pressed pause. Ngozi tapped her phone and held it close to the microphone near the altar. Chukwudi's voice came out from the speaker, loud and clear. "It will be clean," the recording said. "An accident. Not too bad. Then I wake up confused. Doctors will say memory loss. People will pity me." The crowd gasped again. Lillian's face went pale. Ngozi played another part. Chukwudi's voice said, "Let her come. It makes it look real." Lillian's voice followed, sharp and worried. "What if she knows?" Then Chukwudi's voice again. "She doesn't know anything." Somebody in the hall shouted, "Chai! So it was fake." Another person said, "He planned it." Chukwudi's mouth opened, but no words came out. He looked like a man whose mask had been ripped off in front of the whole world. Lillian started crying loudly. "It's not true. It's not true." Ngozi looked at her. "Do you want me to play the part where you asked if everything was ready?" Lillian stopped crying for 1 second, like she got slapped by the words. Chukwudi suddenly raised his hands like he was begging the air. "Okay," he shouted. "Okay, stop. Stop playing it." The hall became even louder. "Ah, he has admitted. He's confessing." Mama Ada stood up by mistake, shaking. "Chukwudi," she cried. "My son. Why?" Ngozi turned quickly and gestured gently for Mama Ada to sit. "Mama," Ngozi said softly, "please." Mama Ada sank back into her seat, covering her face. Chukwudi stepped closer to Ngozi, his voice dropping low, trying to talk like it was still private. "Ngozi," he said, "let's talk." "Not here." Ngozi looked up at him. "Not here. You planned to marry her here. So we settle it here." Lillian shouted again. "Chukwudi, say something." Tell them it's a lie. Chukwudi didn't look at her. That was when Lillian finally understood. She was never the real plan. She was just the reward he wanted. She walked toward him, shaking. You promised me, she whispered. You promised I will be Mrs. Okafor. Chukwudi snapped. Now is not the time. Lillian's eyes filled with rage. So you used me too. The officer stepped forward again. Mr. Okafor, he said firmly. You need to come with us. Chukwudi's face twisted. For what? Mr. Adeyemi answered. Fraud. Conspiracy. False medical claims. Attempt to manipulate legal documents. Chukwudi looked around, desperate. Cameras were pointed at him. Guests were recording. The pastor had stepped far away like a man avoiding fire. Chukwudi's voice cracked. Ngozi, please. Ngozi stared at him. For a moment, her eyes looked tired. Not weak. Just tired. She spoke softly, but everyone still heard it. You pretended not to know me, Ngozi said. So I pretended not to love you. Chukwudi's knees almost gave way. He reached out like he wanted to hold her hand, but the officer held his arm. Lillian screamed. No, you can't arrest him. This is my husband. The officer looked at her. Madam, you are not his wife. That sentence hit Lillian like a stone. She stood there, breathing hard, looking around like a person who woke up from a dream and realized it was a nightmare. Chukwudi was led away, still staring at Ngozi. As they moved, he suddenly shouted, I remember everything. I remember. People laughed in disbelief. Somebody shouted back, It's too late. Ngozi did not laugh. She watched him go. Weeks later, the news was everywhere. Chukwudi Okafor, the billionaire, the big name, the man people feared, was now being dragged into court like an ordinary criminal. His company's shares dropped. Partners pulled out. His name became poison. Lillian disappeared from social media. One day she was posting photos, the next day she was gone. Ngozi did not celebrate in clubs. She did not dance on the internet. She stayed quiet. She moved out of the house peacefully and into a smaller, safer place. She focused on her work and her peace. One afternoon, Ngozi visited the hospital again, not because she missed it, but because she needed closure. Chukwudi was there, sitting in a private room, looking smaller than he used to look. When Ngozi walked in, he stood up fast. Ngozi, he said, his voice shaking, please, I beg you. Ngozi looked at him calmly. Sit down. Chukwudi sat like a child. I was foolish, he whispered. I made a mistake. Ngozi nodded slowly. Yes. Chukwudi's eyes filled with tears. I thought you wouldn't fight. Ngozi's voice stayed soft. I didn't fight. I planned. Chukwudi reached out again. Please, forgive me. Ngozi stepped back. I forgave you the day I heard your plan. That is why I stayed quiet. But forgiving you does not mean staying with you. Chukwudi's lips shook. So, it's over? Ngozi looked him in the eye. It ended the moment you decided I didn't matter. Chukwudi dropped his head. Ngozi turned toward the door. Before she left, she paused and said one last thing. Chukwudi, she said, next time you want to erase someone, remember this. Chukwudi looked up. Ngozi finished calmly. Some people don't scream. They don't beg. They don't fight in public. They just wait. And when they move, everything falls. Ngozi walked out. The door closed behind her. And for the first time in a long time, her chest felt light. Not because she won, but because she was finally free.